Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike Janda. I'm glad you're here. In this video, we are going to talk about the Nicolas Cage Freelance Tactics that you can use to succeed in your creative business. You got a couple of little nuggets that you've never seen before. And let me tell you where this came from. I had a call with somebody. It was a coaching call a couple weeks ago, and the struggle he was having was that he needed work and he had a client who did not want to pay for the gigantic project that he had pitched. He had pitched I think it was like $30,000, $50,000, $60,000 engagement, which is what they were talking about originally. And then they came back and they were like, oh, can we just start with like 10 hours and just see what we can get done? And so his internal struggle, which I totally get, was, how do I humble myself? Or is that bad for the industry? Or am I doing myself a disservice and I'm not charging my worth? And he was having this internal battle. Meanwhile, he needed money. He needed projects. He was using credit cards to fund some of his life because he had kind of a drought in his workload. And so he was in panic mode on that stuff. And so I started thinking, man, there are times when you have to do that. There are times in your creative business where it is okay to go below where you think your esteem is and take whatever you can get to keep things running. I used this with somebody else. I was talking to them, I don't know, this is another week or so ago. And my comment was, do you want to make $15 an hour working at McDonald's, or do you want to make $15 an hour doing design work for a low-paying client? When you have no options, that's it. You have no choices. You don't have high-paying clients right now. So do you want to work for $15 an hour for McDonald's or a low-paying client? Well, you can choose, because if you don't take the low-paying client and you don't get any more work, then what's going to happen? You're going to end up going out and finding a job doing something. Now, it's a little bit extreme, sarcastic version of the concept, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. There are times when you have to kind of dip below where you think you might be valued and take whatever you can get. And let's look at the Nicolas Cage Freelance Tactics, because he did this very thing. In 1996, Nicolas Cage won the Best Actor award at the Oscars, the Academy Awards. This is like the award that you want to win as an actor. And he wins it in 1996 in the movie Leaving Las Vegas with Elizabeth Shue. By the way, fun fact, Elizabeth Shue was my 80s crush back in the day. Karate Kid. I mean, all the guys loved Elizabeth Shue back then. Anyway, this is 1996. He wins Best Actor. And then in the late 90s and early 2000s, you have seen him in things like Face Off and Con Air, and he was making $20 to $40 million per movie back in the late 90s, early 2000s. In fact, The Family Man is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's like 2002 or something. That movie resonates with me for some reason. Okay, so he's making bank. And then in the recession era, 2007, 2008, he gets into a bunch of real estate deals. And then we know what happened. If you live through it, we have the Great Recession. And the real estate market just tanked. And the stock market and all the markets and the whole global economy kind of collapsed on itself. And during that time, he was stuck with a bunch of real estate that he couldn't dump. And he owed $6.3 million to the IRS by 2009. And his total debts, including mortgages and taxes, soared above $14 million. So he's essentially broke. No money during that era. It was all leveraged. What did he do? He appeared over the next several years in 123 movies. He took everything from the sequels and cartoons and the B and C level movies and video on demand. He took every project he could take. And if you look at his IMDb, you'll find all this kind of stuff. I mean, half these movies, you don't even know what they are. You'll see him go to Netflix. You'll see him on a billion movies and on Prime and all the channels. He's got so many movies. And he did all of that to dig himself out of this financial hole because he was not getting $20 to $40 million per movie offers during that time. So he needed something. He could either go work as an insurance salesman making $200,000, or he could make a B-level or C-level movie direct to Netflix and make $200,000. Those are the choices. He chose to keep doing the work that he loved as an actor. He also sold his comic book collection. Talk about humbling yourself. I love my comic book collection. I got my comic book collection on this back wall here. It's freaking awesome. I love my comic book collection. And he sold his, including Action Comics #1, which was the first appearance of Superman ever. Looks like he nets a record of $2.1 million for just that comic alone. So he was doing what he had to do to dig himself out of the financial situation that he was in. And by 2022, all his debts were cleared and he never, ever filed bankruptcy. Mad respect, Nicolas Cage, for doing that. You never filed bankruptcy. Good for you. Grinding it out, paying what you owed. I love that example. And there are times where you, as a creative designer, freelancer, agency owner, where you might have to take things that are allegedly beneath you because of where you were before. Charge what you're worth. I have people saying this. Charge what you're worth. I hear this. Never take a project at a lower rate. Charge what you're worth. Charge what you're worth. Know your value. That's the other thing I hear people say. Got to know your value and stand your ground. This is your price. Stand your ground. Know your value. You also have to know your freaking bank account. You got to know your bank account. And if your bank account is hungry and you're not getting projects at the rate that you want to charge, how are you going to put money in your hungry bank account? You have to know your bank account. Sometimes a $500 logo project is better than no logo project at all. That's the reality of the situation that you might find yourself in your creative business. Demand is what gives you power to charge your worth. Create demand, and then you can say no to whatever you want. But if you have nobody asking you for work, then you have to take whatever you can get. So fix your marketing, fix your positioning, get out there, meet new people, fix your processes, and create interest in your business and create demand. Then charge whatever you want because you got so many different deals coming at you. Money in the bank gives you power to charge your worth. Pile money in the bank and then say no to whoever you want. That's the other way you can do it. Demand, money in the bank. Those are the two things that are going to give you the power to say no to any client you want to say no to. And if you don't have demand and you don't have money in the bank and you have a client that wants to pay you something to do some design work, then you have to choose whether you want to take it or not, or go work at McDonald's. And you're going to need money. You got to have money, pay your rent, pay your bills. And if you don't have demand and you don't have money right now, you're going to have to do what you got to do. Okay, let's go into an example of when I had to do this, 2009, 2010. So before this, I started freelancing in 2002. By 2005, I had a dozen employees. 2006, things were rocking, $500,000 per year. Then 2007, we hit our first $1 million year. 2008, we were at 1.5 million at the time that the markets collapsed in October of 2008. And things just nosedived. But we had built 1.5 million. We were on our way to almost 2 million during that year. And then things collapsed. And then I bled out, man. I spent my nest egg money, keeping my team employed as long as I could. And I still had to lay people off in the end. And in February of 2009, cut my team in half to keep the company alive. And that was the the thing that unfortunately had to happen. Now, 2009, 2010, we were digging out of that hole. And one of the ways that we dug out of this hole was doing cheap template websites. We spun up a little side business called SiteRiser. And the idea was, let's create some templates, and then we'll just populate those templates with the content from a client. And so this is a project we did for the Beefalo, what's it called? Reeds, Beefalo, and Livestock. So this is the Beefalo project. Looks terrible. This template design is terrible. And it was dated. I mean, 2009 is different era. We had a lot better looking work for other things, but this was a template site. So we go to this client, $1,500, $750 in cash. And then they said, can you do us a deal? $750 in Beefalo. That was their deal. And you know what? I needed cash because I was bleeding money paying my team. It included the logo, business card, brochure, template, website. We were just going to knock it out. I never got the Beefalo. I only got the $750 in cash from this client. It was miserable. But this was one of those times when I had to take something because I didn't have demand. My big clients, Disney, that had been $1 million client for my agency. I had ABC Family in that time they were probably $300,000 a year, $400,000 a year client. And they just turned off. They got all their budgets were slashed. And so we had to do something to keep cash going. And when I had spent my nest egg keeping my team employed, now I didn't have the money that I needed, and I didn't have demand from the clients that had helped me grow my business, the clients we were doing work for before. So what do? I got to take on whatever I can take on in order to subsidize the cash flow hemorrhage that I was having happen in my business. There are times like that where you have to do what you have to do to keep things going in your business. I got to do what I got to do. You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do sometimes. That's what the message is. You're going to find a million memes about this, and it is true in a creative business. Sometimes you just got to take the cheaper work until you create enough demand for the high-paying work, and then you can start saying no to whatever you want. All right. Hope that helps. Maybe give you a little permission sometimes to know that it isn't always about charge your worth. Charge your worth if you have money in the bank and demand. If you don't have those two things, then do what you got to do to get money. Now, some people would tell you, and this will be one of the rebuttals to this. Somebody put this in the comments, I'm sure. They'll say, yeah, but if you take those lower projects, then you're establishing a precedence that you are a lower priced agency. Nobody needs to know that you took the lower project. Nobody needs to know that. You don't have to stick it on your portfolio. I didn't ever stuck that Beefalo stuff on any portfolio anywhere in the history of my business. I hide that stuff. You don't have to tell anybody that you took something on to keep the lights on in your business. Just do the work. And you know what? Those people that you did the cheap work for, they don't know the high-paying clients that you're trying to attract anyway. They don't know them. So it's not like word's going to get out that you're a cheapo designer. That's not what's going to happen because they don't know the people who pay more. All right. A couple little rants, a couple little thoughts. I don't know what I'm talking about here. I mean, I know what I'm talking about, but I'm just rambling on now. All right. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you've ever had to take a low-paying project to keep the lights going on your business, drop a comment so we know that everybody's not alone. Everybody's going to have to do this at some point due to the circumstances of their business. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, drop a comment. We'll see you again in another video soon. Thanks so much.